Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm happy to see all of you here. My name is Ola Atamanova, and it's my pleasure to see everybody who joins us in Ukraine Media Center Ukrinform. It's been 10 years of the war, and today is day 467 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor. And traditionally, I want to thank the representatives of all the mass media who tell the world the truth about this war and the heroic resistance of our people. Today we have invited you for a special event. Today we will announce the team who will represent Ukraine in the Invictus Games in Düsseldorf in 2023. So a couple of words about how it was all happening. I'm reminding you there was a selection in Lviv for the Invictus Games, which resulted in selection of our national team who will represent Ukraine this year in Düsseldorf. So the selection was made by the Ministry for Veterans Affairs in coordination with Come Back Alive Foundation and Invictus Games Ukraine civil organization. So today we will be hearing about the results of this selection. I want to introduce our speakers today. It's Igor Kostrikov, the deputy head of the Department of Rehabilitation of the Ministry for Veterans Affairs, Ilona Voloshina, national team lead of the Invictus Games in Ukraine, Olena Yanovska, head coach of the Invictus Games 2023 national team, and Ivan Naumenko, the director of the Come Back Alive Foundation Department for Strategic Initiatives. So let's first see the video about the process of selection. I'm asking our technical team to launch the video. Invictus Games, 202 veterans, both male and female, were taking part in the selection. They were all injured and got together to demonstrate the spirit of the Invictus. And overcoming themselves, they became a part of the national team. So during the full-scale invasion, still we are able to do the round of selection for the team, for the Ukrainian national team to represent Ukraine in the Invictus Games. Is the brotherhood here? We feel strength. Is the victory over yourself? Everyone here is a winner already. The people demonstrated incredible results. Some of them, they were in ICU recently or in rehabilitation. 2 days light athletics, running, lens jumping, cannon push, paddling, powerlifting, wheelchair basketball, bow shooting, cycle sport, swimming, ping pong, sitting volleyball, please always stay united in your dreams about our beautiful Ukraine. Glory to you, glory to all the Ukrainian heroes at all times. We have to develop it, and this is one step for development of the Invictus community, because each of them, each veteran is a hero, each veteran is Invictus. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Now those who were selected are training to compete in Düsseldorf. So Mr. Igor, floor is yours. We've seen the incredible atmosphere, so let's talk in general about the development of the sports among veterans and how this selection tour was going on. Thank you. Greetings to the community. The veteran sports is a part of the psychosocial adaptation of the veterans of war. it's incredibly important. In the end of April, on the 28th and 30th, there was all Ukrainian selection to Ukrainian Invictus Games, upon results of which the national team will be selected to take part in the international competition of Invictus Games. Participation in this prominent event is not the first time for Ukraine. We can say that it's already traditional. The games were held at the high level, and the Ministry for Veteran Affairs wants to express their appreciation of the input of the Lviv Lviv Regional Military Administration, the participants from Come Back Alive Foundation, Stratcom of Ukraine, and civil organization Invictus Games of Ukraine. This is the community of the civil organizations who traditionally take part in the organization of such type of events. Upon the results of all Ukrainian competition, which had more than 202 veterans competing from all over Ukraine, there were 2 tours, 2 meetings of the selection committee, and me as a secretary of this committee, I can witness that the committee was working quite diligently and meticulously, unbiasedly, but we were able to process all the results, and we've selected those persons who are worthy to be included in the national team. Also, every participant from those law enforcement agencies and other agencies, along with their representatives of the community who are involved in to work with the veterans community, they can corroborate the unbiased nature of the selection of the national team. Upon the results of the work of the commission today, in the end of our meeting, I'm promising to pronounce the names of those fighters whose will is stronger than their body, those who will be part of our national team and who will be worthy to represent Ukraine not in the military front but in the international sport front. So, Miss Ilona, the floor is yours. What are they going to look like, the Invictus Games 2023? How are they different from the previous competition? Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Good afternoon, everybody who's watching us and is waiting for the birth of the new team of the Invictus Games. Ukraine is actually the only country among the 23 nations from the Invictus family who fights for its freedom, where the war is going on and where unfortunately the number of the injured keeps increasing on a daily basis, and the foundation of Invictus Games increased the quota for Ukraine this year, and this year Ukrainian team will be the biggest by the number of representatives within all the years of the existence of Invictus Games in Ukraine. Also, I want to say that it's very important now, specifically during the war, to continue creating the quality system for rehabilitation, both medical and sport rehabilitation. Of course, it will only be 24 participants on the national team of Ukraine, and the team will be in the focus of attention. But we have to remember, and we have to continue expanding the opportunities for other injured military and veterans, and to offer the sports as an efficient method of rehabilitation for them. And regardless of whether they will represent our team this year or not, and also the effect of the Invictus Games will be felt by the hundreds of thousands of other people for whom the members of the team are an example of the indefinite willpower and bravery. I also want to appeal to those who this year, I want to emphasize that this year will not become a part of the team. Please don't stop. Please continue training, please continue inspiring the others, please continue proving to the world that Ukraine is an incredible nation capable of everything, and continue living. I wish everybody to win, including win over the circumstances. Miss Irina, let's talk. Let's talk about the previous training. I remember during previous years we had too little time for training, so did we make it this time, this year? Good afternoon, everybody. Well, this year there was no preparation to the selection, because the majority of our participants, the vast majority, they take part in the combat operations, defending our lives, defending our freedom. So what's up for us within the next 3 months? Our team prepared a very concentrated preparation program. Every phase has a specific goal. During the first training phase, every participant will be able to pick their type of sport, and what's important, all of them will be able to try themselves not in this kind of sport that they used to do during the national selection program, but they will be able to try all the sports that are included on the program. Our specialists will help the participants to focus on those sports that will be most beneficial for them, and every participant will be able to express themselves to the most extent possible. During the first training session, we will be getting familiarized with the kinds of sports. That will be the basic phase, and we will a little bit improve the general physical training. And the second phase will be the game phase. We will have two teams, wheelchair basketball and sitting volleyball, and those two teams will be improving during the second phase. And the third phase will be going on abroad, and from there we will set off for the competition. So the third phase will be the most important. We will be preparing to demonstrate the best results. This year we created the incredibly powerful team of specialists. The sport takes the most part of their lives. All the trainers, all the coaches, they aspire to rehabilitation of our military, and in fact the rehabilitation and recovery is the most important part of our training. And this is why during the whole period of training will be monitored by therapists, massages, and rehabilitologists. We can't wait to have the new names announced, so I want to give the floor to another speaker. I cannot imagine how the participants make it waiting until the announcement. So please tell us about the criteria for the selection. Good afternoon. In fact, those criteria are now on the screen. It's the second national team that is being picked by those criteria who takes part in the Invictus Games. It's not that we made them up by ourselves. Back in 2019, I think, Invictus Games Foundation took decision that the national teams will be picked according to those criteria, and for what we see, they have different weight, and the biggest component is rehabilitation. So to what extent the participation in the games will influence the condition of the veterans? This is 40% criteria. Another criterion is the attitude or approach. It's about the input of a person, to what extent they're dedicated to the Invictus values, to what extent they express the common team spirit. And another criterion, another 25%, is the sport ethics, is how the people behave in the field, in the playground. And from the point of view of the weight, like 10% is only the result, the fourth indicator, fourth criterion. So it's not about the achievement, but the influence, the impact on the rehabilitation, on the participation of this or that person in the games. So, four criteria. What are the components for evaluation? In fact, they were four as well. First, the details of the candidates, the information that people provided about themselves. Another component was interviews with the psychotherapists, with the psychologists, where the people were expressing their motivation to take part in the competition. The third component was monitoring of the people during the selection, their behavior. And the last component was their sport achievements. So this is how we created the rating. And out of 202 participants of the selection competition, out of those 202, we picked 24 persons who are about to take part in the competition in Düsseldorf. Thank you very much, Mr. Ivan. Mr. Yuri, I'm giving the floor to you. So let's hear who is on our team of Invictus Games 2023. Well, dear community, we were all waiting for it, and now we are about to announce our participants, our dear veterans. Benjamin Bondarchuk, veteran of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Vinnytsia region, was taking part in the light athletics, wheelchair basketball, and swimming. Next participant, Vitaly Borodovka, the serviceman of the National Guard of Ukraine, city of Borispol, Kiev region, was taking part in light athletics and paddling, machine paddling. Alexander Buitko, the serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Rivne, was taking part in light athletics and wheelchair basketball. Nazar Voznyuk, serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Kryvyi Rih, Dnipropetrovsk region, was taking part in swimming. Volodymyr Gera, the serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Lviv, was competing in swimming and ping-pong. Igor Derman, serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Kiev, was competing in machine paddling and shot put. Maxim Mitresh, the policeman of the National Police of Ukraine, Cherkasy, competed in the machine paddling and track and field athletics. Oleg Dolzhok, the veteran of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Kryvyi Rih, Dnipropetrovsk region, was competing in sitting volleyball and swimming. Mykola Zaritsky, the veteran of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Sumy, was competing in the track and field athletics, wheelchair basketball, and machine paddling. Maxim Zubov, the veteran of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Kiev, was competing in sitting volleyball, field athletics, and powerlifting. Konstantin Kobylano, the serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine from Zaporizhia, was competing in ping-pong and bow shooting. Alexander Kravchenko, the veteran of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Korostyshev, Zhytomyr region, was competing in machine paddling and field athletics. Semen Lagun, serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Rivne region, was competing in sitting volleyball, machine paddling, and powerlifting. Pavlo Luchkiv, the veteran of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Lviv, was competing in wheelchair basketball and archery. Vadim Masnichenko, veteran of the Armed Forces of Ukraine from Cherkasy, was competing in the machine paddling and field athletics. Alexander Makovey, the serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine from Khmelnytsky, was competing also in field athletics, wheelchair basketball and sitting volleyball. Ivan Moldun, the serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine from Kherson, was competing in swimming, archery and sitting volleyball. Dmitro Polovyan, serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, town of Kvasilyev, Rivne region, was competing in swimming. Alexander Ponomarev, serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the town of Ochakiv, Mykolaiv region, was competing in machine paddling and swimming. Irina Ternikova, veteran of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, from Voznesensk, Mykolaiv region, was competing in powerlifting and bicycle sport. Volodymyr Tovkis, the veteran of the National Guard of Ukraine from the village of Tarasivka, Kiev region, was competing in machine paddling and archery. Vadim Fasola, serviceman of the State Security Service of Ukraine from Odessa, was competing in machine paddling and archery. Yulia Shevchuk, volunteer, Kiev, machine paddling, archery and wheelchair basketball. And finally, the last 24th participant of our team, Bogdan Yarovsky, serviceman of the Armed Forces of Ukraine from Izum, Kharkiv region, competed in machine paddling, wheelchair basketball, sitting volleyball and powerlifting. So that was the decision of our selection committee as to the 24 persons who should become a part of the national team for Invictus Games, who will represent our country in Düsseldorf during this international competition. But I have to emphasize that to reestablish certain social justice and the right of people to their sport rehabilitation, the foundation of the Invictus Games appealed to the Ministry for Veterans Affairs with the proposition to provide Yulia Payevska with the 25th spot to participate in the Invictus Games this year. I want to remind that Yulia Payevska already won her right to take part in the international competition, but since she was imprisoned by the aggressor state, she was not able to take part directly. And by the decision of the selection committee and upon the proposal of the Invictus Games Foundation, it was unanimously decided to include Yulia Payevska on the team, on the number 25 of our national team. So this is the result of our selection, the work of the selection committee. Thank you. So the team is announced. I want to congratulate everybody with this wonderful team. Dear colleagues, I want to give floor to you. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask them. Alla Shershin, Ukrinform, why is it so little women on the team, and in what kind of sport will Yulia Payevska represent our team? In fact, it's an achievement. We have 3 women on the team, because previously we only had 1 woman every year on our team, so 3 women is a lot for us actually. And actually during the selection there were 9 women in total out of 200 two participants. So in response to your question, Yulia Payevska will probably change her opinion, but she was competing in powerlifting for national selection. She may add other types of sports later. Katerina Makarevska, Suspilne Sport. I paid attention to the number of women too because it's a record for our national team, and I wanted to ask whether it was taken into account during the selection, and if I checked it right, all the participants are taking part for the first time. They never participated in the international level. Was that taken into account for giving people the opportunity to act in the international arena? Yes, the system that was presented by Ivan was taken into account, so the priority was given to the people who need this project the most, on whom it will have a positive impact. So gender indicator is not primary, is not a priority. Just to add a couple of words, thank you, Ilona. I want to add that to give this opportunity to the Veterans Award to get involved in the sport rehabilitation, including the opportunity to take part in international competition, to see the experience of rehabilitation of the military abroad. The Ministry for the Veterans Affairs, based on the recommendations of the Invictus Games Committee, has undertaken the decision not to admit to the participation of the participants who used to take part twice in the Invictus Games before, and also those participants who were taking part last year. Dear friends, if you have anything to add, please go ahead. Yes, I can confirm in Igor's words that among the participants, among the members of the team this year, there's no single member from the previous years. They're all new to us. Dear friends, if you have any more questions left, please let me know. There are no more questions on the floor, so I want to wish our participants to win, but let's not forget about that first criteria for selection, that this membership is a powerful tool for rehabilitation, and we want to thank our armed forces for this opportunity to hold events like this. We work together for our victory, and glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes.